A little over a year ago, I lost 2 fingers while saving my fiancé's nephew from a dog attack. I didn't think twice, I just reacted. It was a barbecue at her sister's place, and when the neighbor's Rottweiler charged at the kid, I stepped in. Tyler, her nephew, walked away with a scratch. I walked away missing my index and middle fingers. The recovery process was everything you'd expect. Emergency surgery, painkillers, physical therapy, learning how to do everyday things differently. The neighbor's insurance paid out a settlement, enough to cover the medical bills, lost work time, and leave a cushion behind. Melody, my fiancée at the time, was there for all of it. She came to appointments, told our friends how brave I was, and never once complained out loud about how life had changed. I thought I was lucky. I believed I had someone who stood by me in the hardest moment of my life. We had been together for 3 years, engaged for 1. Both of us were driven, successful, fit. One of those couples that looked perfect on social media. We were planning our wedding for this summer and everything seemed on track. That changed 3 months ago. Melody's sister Cara had stayed the night after a girls' night out. I was supposed to be golfing, but rain kept me home. I was in our spare room working quietly. The old air vents in our apartment carry sound easily, and as I worked, I heard my name. I paused. They were in the kitchen. Cara asked about the wedding plans, then gently asked, "How are things otherwise, with his hand?" There was a silence I'll never forget. Melody finally spoke, her voice low but every word clear. She said my missing fingers made her physically ill during intimacy, and that she had to imagine she was with someone whole. I felt gutted. As if that wasn't enough, she laughed, cold, not her usual laugh, and said, "At least his disability settlement will pay for our wedding." I couldn't move. I sat there with those words echoing through me, unable to believe that someone who'd seen me at my most vulnerable could speak about me like that behind my back. I'd given everything to protect someone she loved, and this was how she saw me now, less than whole. A means to fund a party. She checked in on me a few minutes later. "I thought you were golfing," she said. "Rained out," I answered, trying to sound normal. She nodded and walked away, leaving for brunch with her sister like nothing had happened. I stayed there the rest of the day thinking. My first instinct was to confront her. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized it wouldn't change anything. She had already revealed how she really felt. No apology or explanation would unsay those words or heal the wound they caused. I didn't want to give her the chance to manipulate the narrative. Instead, I made a quiet, final decision. While she was away on a business trip later that week, I canceled the venue. Lost the deposit, didn't care. I moved my settlement money, which had been in our shared account, into a protected trust under my name. Legally, it was compensation for my injury, mine alone. I packed the things that mattered most to me and left the rest behind. No goodbye, no fight. Just an exit. Now I'm in a cabin by a lake, alone but at peace. She's tried contacting me, emailed my prosthetic specialist even, but I've blocked her out completely. They say losing a part of your body changes you. It's true. But what I didn't expect was how it would reveal the truth about the person I loved. I'm not sharing this for sympathy, I've done enough therapy to process the pain. I'm sharing it because maybe someone else will read this and recognize what love isn't before it's too late. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do isn't saving someone from a dog. It's saving yourself from the person you thought you'd grow old with. I overheard her conversation with Cara, every word clear as day, and I knew then that our engagement had to end. I didn't lash out, didn't accuse or insult. I simply wrote a letter. I explained what I had heard, that I was ending things, and I wished her the best. I left the letter on the kitchen counter, beside a cup of tea I had made but no longer wanted. Then I got in the car and drove north, to my family's cabin in the woods of Michigan. Isolated, quiet, and with poor cell service, it was the perfect place to disappear. I only messaged 3 people with my new contact info: my boss, my mom, and Dr. Hayward, the specialist managing my prosthetics. I work remotely now. My mother visits every so often. Life has changed, but it hasn't gotten worse. When she came home to an empty apartment and that letter, she apparently lost control. I wouldn't know firsthand. I blocked her number, erased her from social media. But my mom shared hesitantly that she'd called over and over, alternating between angry outbursts and desperate apologies. "She says you misunderstood," Mom told me during one of her first visits. "She says it was taken out of context." "There's no context," I said, "where that's okay." Mom nodded once and never brought it up again. 2 weeks later, she found out I had an appointment with Dr. Hayward and showed up at the clinic. But they wouldn't confirm I was a patient, strict privacy rules. She left her number in case they heard from me. That didn't work either. She started emailing his office directly. Weekly notes filled with apologies, explanations, pleased to talk. Dr. Hayward mentioned it during an appointment, his tone awkward. She seems persistent. She's in sales, I said. He gave a small nod and went back to discussing prosthetic designs. It's been 3 months. The wedding would have been 8 weeks away. Sometimes I wonder, did I act too fast? Should I have given her a chance to explain? But then I remember, no explanation changes the fact that I'd have to pretend to be someone whole, someone untouched. Nothing makes what she said okay. Not if she ever loved me. What's been most surprising is realizing how much effort I put into seeming unchanged after the injury. I thought that was strength, carrying on like nothing happened. But I missed the signs. How she avoided my right hand. How she'd only hold my left hand in public. How intimacy became scheduled, brief, routine. I chalked it up to wedding stress, her job, anything but the truth. She couldn't bring herself to touch me. Since I left, I've started making peace with this new version of myself. I work with a specialist in hand injuries. I found an online community of people who've gone through similar things. I'm starting to understand that adapting isn't the same as losing something. Strangely, letting go of her was more freeing than losing my fingers ever was. Last week I got an email, the one account I'd forgotten to shut down. It was from Kara. She said she'd been wrong. That what I did for Tyler was brave. That I deserve someone who sees that every day. I didn't write back, but I appreciated her words. The settlement I received, meant to help start our new life, fund the wedding, is now going toward something better. I'm launching a design firm with 2 colleagues, specializing in accessible architecture. We're focusing on helping people adapt their homes after injuries, building spaces that respect and reflect the people living in them. I've heard that she's telling people I had a breakdown after the accident, that I became someone else, and that she tried everything to help. Maybe that's her truth. We all edit our stories to protect ourselves. I don't know if there's a lesson here. Maybe it's that crisis reveals the truth about people. Maybe it's just that when someone shows you who they are, you should believe them. I still dream sometimes of waking up with all my fingers. And for a moment I believe it. Then I open my eyes and I remember what's gone, and what I've found. My remaining fingers? They're stronger than they've ever been. Strong enough to hold on to what matters. And strong enough to let go of what doesn't. The mornings at the cabin start quietly now. I've built a routine. Coffee just before sunrise, stretching by the lake, time spent drafting designs or consulting with clients over choppy video calls. There's a peacefulness in the stillness, a steadiness that was missing before. Some days are harder than others. Phantom pain reminds me of what's not there. But the mental space is clearer, lighter. There's no pressure to smile through discomfort, no need to perform normalcy for anyone else's benefit. Every now and then I come across a reminder, an old photo, a leftover item she forgot to take, and there's a brief sting not because I miss her but because I mourn who I believed she was. I loved that version of her, the one who held my hand after the surgery, who whispered reassurances in hospital rooms. But love should grow deeper in adversity, not disappear. And hers, I learned, came with conditions. There's a quiet strength in being alone, in choosing peace over performance. I've been reconnecting with old friends, re-establishing a sense of self outside the relationship. Tyler and I still talk. He sends drawings of dinosaurs and I send books back. That bond remains untouched. He never looked at me differently after the injury. Children have a clarity adults often lose. They see hearts before scars. As for future relationships, I'm not rushing. I'm learning how to be with myself first, fully and without judgment. When I do let someone in again, it'll be someone who embraces the whole picture, not just the polished surface. Someone who doesn't flinch at what's missing, because they're too busy appreciating what's still there. There's a metaphor in all this somewhere. That healing isn't about returning to what was, but learning to move forward with what is. That strength isn't the absence of struggle, but the refusal to stop growing through it. And that love, real love, doesn't ask you to hide your pain. It holds your hand through it no matter how many fingers are left. I don't regret walking away. If anything, I'm grateful I had the courage to do it. Not out of bitterness but out of self-respect. Because the version of me who stayed silent, who accepted less, who bent until he almost broke, he deserves better. I deserve better. And now, for the first time in a long while, I believe I'll find it. Or maybe it'll find me. Either way, I'm finally ready.